What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stocks to Watch. So, I was not able to make a video yesterday because I was traveling, so apologies for that. But let's get started with this video. And again, there has been a lot of smart money action coming in, a bunch of sectors, subsectors, and stock specific action. And all of these stocks are something that you guys are going to be very familiar with because we have discussed about these sectors, these stocks, I think 3 or 4 days in advance. And to a great extent, we were able to forecast these kind of price action and money flowing in into these sectors. And well, I'll quickly kind of tell you on what were the stocks that were in focus today and that did really well since we did not have a watch list for yesterday. So I'll just open up my mid cap list and just show you what was the extent of the action. And once you'll start seeing the names which did really well. So Pyramid Enterprises was up 13%. This stock we were not tracking, and I was not even trading the stock. But if you look at Vijaya, Vijaya Diagnostics, Vijaya was coming out of this entire base, and I think we've had multiple discussions, about this base being perfectly setting up Vijaya. So this was really nice, and the stock gave an extraordinary move over here. Apart from that, even if you look at Blue Dart, you look at Happiest Minds, and there are a bunch of other names which did extremely well. And when you look at these stocks, their individual percentages from which they were up, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11%, that shows you the resilience that mid cap stocks still have. So with that being said, we are seeing extraordinary action in a bunch of stocks and in a bunch of names which are relatively very stronger than the market. So let's quickly move on to our list for today, and let's try to understand what are the stocks that we're going to be focusing on for today, for tomorrow. And again, these the market right now is a little extended in my opinion, and there was a bunch of action within the chemicals, the fertilizers, and the insurance space that I would like to highlight. And these are going to be the sectors and industries that I'm going to be focusing on. Now, one more thing that you've got to understand is that I will share one of my observations is that a lot of stocks which were looking really good tried to break out of their range but failed. And now I'm seeing this happening a lot more often, and that tells you that the market is probably getting a little bit tired, and stock selection becomes utmost, the importance of stock selection is probably at the highest right now. Yes, everyone's waiting for an all-time high. Yes, the markets are, showing a lot of strength. But what you've got to understand is that there is sector rotation that's continuously happening. And for you to be at the top of your game, you've got to understand that you need to know which stocks, which sectors, and what is the appropriate risk reward that you're going to get if you will try to play these stocks. Now, always remember the stocks which are already moving really fast and they've already done their move, avoid trying to chase them. I get a lot of comments, I get a lot of DMs that I want to take a position in this particular stock. Should I do this? Should I do this? And what I basically see is that those stocks are usually stocks which are very extended. So I would definitely recommend you that do not try to chase the stocks which are already overdone. Rather, try to focus on stocks which can give you a better risk reward and stocks which have not moved yet in this bull run. So without a further ado, let's quickly get started. And the first stock in today's list has got to be GNFC. Now, GNFC is again coming in from the fertilizer space, and what we have seen today, I think Deepak Fertilizers had a monumental move today in the morning. So again, what I'm looking at in GNFC is that GNFC, after coming out of around these lows, the stock has started to kind of hold off, and this is the area, like this is the base that I'm going to be looking to play on the upside. Now, the stock was up, I think, 2%, somewhere approximately 2% up. And this range looks very good for two reasons. Number one, there is no overhead supply unless and until, this particular wick. And then you've got supply over the top over here. So there was earnings dump. So I think things are pretty fine for GNFC. And as I said, fertilizer stocks, apart from GNFC, like Deepak Fertilizers, NFL, you've got Fact, you've got Make Money, you've got Paradeep Phosphates, you've got Rama Phosphates. All of those names are going to be in focus. Now, one stock that is probably going to be the darling of tomorrow has got to be Adani Ports. Now, this is another stock that we've been tracking for a lot of time, but we were not really getting an entry. And I think Adani Ports right now is ready for an explosion tomorrow. And there's high volume action today. And I think this is the stock that is going to be probably one of my favorites to trade tomorrow. So Adani Ports definitely should be on your watch list. Next up is Tarsons. Now, It's a little tricky, but Tarson's also has created a nice base over here, so you can clearly see that this is a very, very decent base that it has created. And what's important is that if you see these volume spikes over here, that kind of tells you that there has been institutional activity happening in the stock, and the volumes are continuously rising. That means this accumulation was going on, and it is continuing over here, and it's creating a nice little base, a U-shaped recovery, which kind of gives you more comfort. So Tarson's again is going to be on my radar for tomorrow. Now, Vascon, this stock is all over Twitter, but for me, I think the stock is not ready. So, yes, we have seen a lot of high volume action over here. So, we've definitely seen that. But I think from an entry perspective, I think it still needs time. So, it's rather better to wait. And if the stock starts to trade beyond, this high, which is 43 tens, I think this is where I will look to create a position. So, Vascon is a tricky one. Keep it on your radar, has got everything that it needs to explode, but it needs a little bit of time. Next up is Aditya Birla Sun Life Asset Management Company. Now, this is another stock that I don't think is ready yet, but I think this could start exploding. Now, today, we got a brokerage upgrade from Jeffries on asset management companies, which is an added positive. The only problem with this base that I have is that there's no volume activity, and hence I don't really like it. But as I said, the market's getting very selective, so it's not about what is running, it's all about what is the stock that you can trade by managing your risk properly and getting like a decent reward. So Aditya Birla Sun Life Asset Management Company is the stock in my watch list because I think the structure is setting up. It's not ready yet, but I think there could be some action. Now, my favorite name has got to be Policy Bazaar. Now, Policy Bazaar has witnessed very, very strong monumental action. So if you look at the recovery from these lows, Policy Bazaar has done decently well. Now, the thing which is interesting me the most, I'll just remove every drawing from here. The thing that's interesting me the most is that the stock has tapped into these areas of supply multiple times. So this base is easily cleared out. More so, you see volume activity coming in over here, and right now, what the stock is doing is, if I zoom in, the stock has contracted again and created a very, very narrow, tight range. Now, this is exactly what you need before a big explosion. Now, this is a disclaimer. I already have a position in Policy Bazaar, and a lot of StockWiz members also have a position in Policy Bazaar, and we expect this to move nicely. Now, another reason is, if you look at HDFC Life, you look at SBI Life, you look at MFSL, a lot of these insurance companies are doing well. I think in 4 or 5 episodes back, I focused on insurance companies and insurance retailers like Policy Bazaar to be a big beneficiary. So that is the kind of action I'm seeing in Policy Bazaar, and in my opinion, if you look at on a 15-minute time frame, I'll just show this to you on a 15-minute time frame as well. This is really setting up perfectly, to explode. So if you look at this, right, this is the 15-minute chart for Policy Bazaar. Supply being tapped multiple times. You're getting these higher lows again and again, right? Higher lows being popped up again and again, and this supply is pretty much exposed completely. So tomorrow, I think this is going to happen, and this is some this is a stock that I will definitely be tracking, because obviously I have a position, and I would definitely even ask you to keep a track of this, because that could be a learning outcome for you as well. Next up is Ikra. Now, Ikra is not a stock that is very commonly traded, but Ikra has again, been setting up into a nice tight base. We have seen what Crisil has done in the past, so obviously it sounds interesting. Like this entire sector becomes interesting to track. So Ikra, for those reasons, is on the watch list. Supreme Industries, another PVC name coming in over here, and that's setting up really nicely. One of my, I think, few of my community members took a position in Supreme Industries, and they're carrying it as a BTST. Now, the interesting part is that the base is ready, everything is sorted. The stock has been an outperformer. So, yeah, I think probably one of the strongest names in terms of technical structure in the market has got to be Supreme. Next up is Shipping Corporation of India, similar structure, but I think it is still not ready yet. It needs more time, but I think it is setting up for an explosion. So keep a track on SCI. Definitely, I think it's going to be something to definitely cherish and watch out for. Another very interesting name that I've got today has got to be Man Infra Construction Company. Now, this stock, high volume activity, you can clearly see, pops of volume over here, and now the stock is getting into a tighter and tighter range, and I think this is where it's probably best positioned to start exploding. So man construction, infra construction, something's definitely going to be on my watch list and on my radar. Next up is BSE. So if you remember, we've already discussed about this stock, I think a few days back. Even we tried to attempt this trade, but it did not work out that time. We got out, I think, somewhere at cost. But I think it's setting up similarly. The closing for today was not really impressive, and hence I will still put into the category of not ready yet. But I think this is something that you should definitely watch out for. Next up is Indian Bank. Now, after Bank of Baroda, now Bank of Baroda also we had a discussion about this, and I'll just show it to you. So, we I had a Bank of Baroda in my watch list, I think, day before yesterday, and we had clearly discussed that Bank of Baroda can definitely come out of this range really nicely, right? And it exactly did that. And Bank of Baroda is right now up 4-5% from that. So banking stocks have done decently. Some selected names in banking have done decently. Indian Bank is something that I am expecting to probably come out of this base. This is again a very tricky one. Definitely not ready yet, but something that you should be keeping on radar if banks outperform. Next up is Delivery. Now, Delivery is another name that I'm going to be closely tracking. We saw what Blue Dart did today, and even Blue Dart, we had a discussion about Blue Dart previously as well. So the reason I really like Delivery is, if not it moves today, it might move maybe in the next 2 or 3 days. But what I see is that Delivery has created a very nice rounding bottom base. Now, after that base is done, the stock breaks structure with high volumes, and now it's trying to contract and consolidate in this tight range. Now, this is exactly what you need for a compression expansion trade. Maybe another day or two, it will need to probably, create a smaller time frame base. But I think this is going to be one of the stocks to watch. Tata Power again comes into my watch list because it has not exploded yet. I'm just waiting for an intraday opportunity to play Tata Power, and I think that this is another name that could be really really interesting from the popular large cap space. Bodil Chemicals, another name which is very interesting. Now, the reason I am not very excited about this as much as I am for the other stocks is because the imbalance, the big move is already done, and now I think it might consolidate for a few days before it moves higher. Now, specialty chemicals, we've had discussions multiple times. Specialty chemicals is in focus. It's China plus one theme that's been going on. So keep it on your radar. If on an intraday basis you see your setup, execute it. Otherwise, just wait for it. And the last one on my list has got to be Oberoi Realty. Again, doing nice little things. Although it's near supply, but this 4 or 5 candle formation in a range gives you all the reasons to at least track it for the next day, and we might see if there's going to be good action coming in later in this. So these were the stocks that that will be on my watch list for the next day, and I'll just quickly pick up some stocks from the watch list of 20th June. And the reason I'm showing this to you is Blue Dart again is Delivery. Blue Dart from the same sector done really well. Thyrocare again from the diagnostic center. So if you follow me and if you follow this video series, we've spoken about Vijaya, we've spoken about Lal Path Labs. Now I'll just open up Lal Path Labs. The last episode we had a good focus on Lal Path Labs and Metropolis, along with all other diagnostic centers, and just look at what Lal Path Lab has done. Right, this is where we got in Lal Path Labs. This is where we got out. But even the next 2 days, there's been good action. So again, what you can see is that until this point, no one was even interested in Lal Path Labs. No one was looking at anything, and now suddenly when Lal Path Labs has done this, everyone, all D Street eyeballs are on Lal Path Labs. Now we are already out of this because now this is too crowded. So what you've got to understand is that this is a market where selected pockets of stocks, sectors, and industries are moving well for a couple of days, then they slow down. And you have to be proactive in getting into the stocks and sectors which could do well before it actually starts its first leg of institutional activity. So I hope this episode was again very helpful. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and drop a comment if it helps you. Drop a comment if you are watching a particular stock and you want me to analyze it. And I definitely hope that these video series are helping you out. Share it with your friends, and obviously do not forget to subscribe. Thank you so much. That's it from my side. Have a great trading day tomorrow. All the best. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you.